So today's video is just going to be super quick. Use up some leftover pieces from a previous quilt to rearrange, revamp, and create some new blocks. So I did that jelly roll rail fence a couple months back, and I have these leftover 3-piece cuts from the end of the strip units. And so what I want to do is show you that if you take your 2.5-inch ruler, you can go ahead, cut these down, and get a cute little 3-patch, well, 3-strip. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna call that. And since they're the same, I'm actually gonna separate them. I don't want them to end up next to each other. Then I'm going to take some previously cut ones, and you can start just building cute little 6, 2, 4, 3, 6, 9, cute little 9 patches out of them. If something like this bothers you, you can go ahead and move it to the other side. If it bothers you that that's just too light, right? I mean, you could even come back in with that original one as long as it wasn't side by side. And then here is one that I did with 3 different cuts. And what I'm thinking, after I trim them down, they're probably just going to get trimmed to a 6. They're looking about 6 1/4 by 6 1/2. Go ahead and let me get these separated before I forget. Go ahead and build up those 9 patches and either place them with like a panel cut or place them with a solid, right? Or in flip-flop, flip-flop. You'll see here, this one will not get me a 2.5. It has way too much selvage. If it was just an 1/8, that would have been fine, but it's not, so it'll go into the scrap bin. This one is coming out just fine. I'm okay if there's a little bit there, because then it just gets sewn away. So I can't be too picky, right? If this is super dark, and how would that look? Still actually looks just fine to me. It is just a much darker combo. And so might be able to just pair it up with some other darks. Let's see here. These are mediums to me, and that's a light. So light, medium, dark. So on this one, I went light with 2 mediums. We can be in control a little bit, right? We can make it a controlled scrappy project. And that way, maybe all the lights do stay together and all the mediums stay together. You'll notice I'm getting a good 2 strips out of these. That's a lot of fabric that would have been wasted if I would have just tossed them. And since the quilt is 100% done, I can't go off and, you know, put it into that anywhere. So I've ended up with 4 different shades. These dark ones are kind of slim pickings, and then they actually turn into this semi-dark. So we'll see what happens there. I'm going to head to the sewing machine, build up a bunch of these 9 patches. And what I found was this nautical themed panel. It has 2, 4, 6, 12 of these squares. And if my measurements are correct, I should be able to get 6-inch blocks with a slight border around each one. And then we can imagine, well, hold on, let's see here. It's gonna look like that, right? A block, a square, a block, and I'll be able to put them together somehow. So here I have all those little 9 patches finished up. They are so cute. I'm amazed at myself for thinking of this when I was going through to put the UFO box away. And so you can still see that they are kind of in color groups. And that's the way the quilt was, right? It went from light, medium to dark. And then I still do like this panel. The colors are not exact, but it is underwater, right? Like it's still nautical. It's still, find a different one. To me, it's interesting. It's different. It uses what I have. And then totally thought of something else. So I went through and pulled yardage. I have yardage of this blue seashell. Then I thought of it with these, 9 patches. And then I thought, well, I could still leave those panel squares in there. The more I can add, the larger the quilt will be, right? So I think I'm gonna go with this. And I'm gonna kind of do it oddball. It's not gonna be 6.5-inch squares due to these coming up slightly short. So I will be trimming everything to about 6 1/4. That seems to be what I can get out of these. The original project was 2 different jelly rolls and probably inconsistent seam allowances. So let me go ahead and trim those up. 6 1/4. What do you think? You can go ahead and leave me some comments. Is Scrappy your style? Is nautical something you enjoy? Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Everything has been cut and trimmed to 6 1/4 square. I ended up with 16 of these 9 patches. I ended up with 12 of the panel prints. And then after drawing out a game plan, I ended up with 24 of these blues. So I just kind of drew myself a grid, started with a blue in the middle, worked my panels, worked my blues in a diamond, filled in some of those 9 patches. I did have fun on the corners. I altered them slightly. So panel, panel, 9 patch, 9 patch, 9 patch blue, but then the left top and the bottom right are twins. Same with the top right and the bottom left. So I will get this laid out and we will see how it looks. Technically, I can't lay too much out on this table, but we'll give it a quick glance. I really can't be too picky on, you know, where the panels are gonna go. We're just gonna grab and see what happens. See if I can lift you guys up a little. Nope, still really can't see anything, can you? It's the weird shape of having to lay horizontal. So it'll be like that on this first batch. I think I wrote blue again. I did. And so the next round will then start having those 9 patches. I mean, even this is cute. Even though the whole point of the video was how to use up those leftover cutoffs. I kind of like this. Let me get it all laid out. So here it is, all laid out. I am super happy with it. It's a little different. It's quite odd, but it works for me. So I went on a hunt for some border options. I do need to take it from a square into a rectangle. So I found a lighter one that goes with those panels. I'll use what I can left over from that dark blue shell. And then I found this really pretty speckled watery type. It was actually a wide back left over from a backing, so that'll be great as that final border. I'm thinking I'll play with tops and bottoms being like 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, and then the sides actually being thinner at like 1.5, 2, 3 maybe. We'll play with it. So the top is a square. It's and I'm gonna go ahead and grow it into a rectangle, even though I personally like squares. So this is the smallest piece of those 3 fabrics. I'm gonna go ahead and do an inner border. I'm gonna do 2 inches on the sides and then 3 inches, 3.5 on the top and bottom. And that is just utilizing what this piece of fabric was able to give me. I think it was 11 inches. And that way I don't have any left over and I'm not worried about, you know, trying to piece things. So we did 2 and now we're gonna go ahead and do 3.5. The first border is on, and now we're gonna go ahead and have fun with this light one. I think it went really well bringing back the colors from the panel. So the fun of digging through your stash and seeing what you can mix and match. You'll notice here, so on the sides I only did a 2 inch. On the top I did that 3.5. I'm almost wondering if it should just be the same with this one. Again, I'm trying to change the shape from a square into a rectangle. And so it would look like that. Let's see. that's about, yeah, 2, and that's about 3. So I do think I'll just go ahead and do that. I'm not going to worry too much about the direction of those, looks like little brush strokes. I think it'll be busy enough that it won't be noticeable if they get, one goes sideways and one goes up and down. Because I will just cut with the fabric and then strip piece to get the lengths that I need. Second borders have been added, and then this is that third fabric, which I am loving, loving, loving. I think that it totally brings out all the colors in these little scrappy 9 patches, just like that border brought out the colors in the panels. It's scrappy. It's not 100% coordinated. It's called Pull From Your Stash, but I am quite happy with this. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same math. 2-inch strips here, 3.5-inch strips across that top, and then we will get our final measurements. So here it is with all 3 borders. I'm very pleased. It is coming out to 47 by 59, a much better size than that little square that it started with. A little bit usable, well, more usable for a child. You know, it helps with the age bracket. It will be donated to the charity sewing group that does quilts for our local foster care center. And again, it's just, you know, we created together. We started with those leftover strips and made these scrappy 9 patches. And then we pulled out those little panel squares. We got some yardage in there and just kind of had fun and went to town. It is not a normal quilt pattern, but I mean, that's the fun of it. That's the fun of creating and using what we have on hand. All right. Thanks so much for joining me.